Hey everybody, what's crack-a-lackin'? Somebody give me a 5 for 5 and I'll get moving here, guys. Yeah, guys, we got a gigantic coronal hole right here. Look at this thing. This thing is sending some pretty good solar wind our way. We're really close to a geomagnetic storm already from this thing. We probably got a couple more days left of increased solar wind conditions as far as density and yeah, density and speed. And remember, guys, solar wind is basically plasma. Solar wind is a gas that has a charge, which is plasma, fourth state of matter. So sends it our way through gravity, not gravity, but through magnetics and other 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 physical things. You know what I'm saying? All right. But you can see it hitting already. This coronal hole, we've been connected to this thing for like 3 days already. We've been having conditions off and on, but we've never gotten into storm level yet. These things do have a tendency to hang around a little bit, especially when they're this large. This is a very large coronal hole, guys. I showed it to you guys a couple days ago, and it was stretching from here all the way to the limb. And not only now is it's long still, but it is very, very wide also, and it looks pretty deep. And what I mean by deep, you don't really see, let's just do it this way so I can show it to you. You don't really see any of the atmosphere at all, the sun, the corona here. You're seeing just basically the surface. So that means it's deep down. It means a lot of the atmosphere is just pulled back, allowing those highly charged particles just to flow out and start smacking people. And I'll say hi to everybody here in just a minute. I do want to point out, guys, I love all my mods, so thank you. Thank you guys for being here and always helping out. I don't say that enough. It's not that I just forget. You guys know, I hope you guys know that I do truly appreciate you. The channel, nobody's channel would run without moderators. Promise you that. So, but anyway, thank you. Now, guys, this is very significant hole. I haven't seen a coronal hole like this in a long time, and it really has been that way. It's been, we've seen some coronal holes. I've shown you a couple, but they're about half the size, right? I mean, you take a line right here, cut that right in half. That's what you get. Not to say that it is any less significant, the ones before this one, than this one, but this is large. And typically, now, when it's large as far as like length, and it's more horizontal, we stay connected to it typically longer, okay, for obvious reasons, I would think. So if you took this coronal hole right here and rotated it 90 degrees, it's vertical, right? So it only stays in front of the Earth for for whatever amount of time that it does, but it would be a shorter amount of time because if you take the width of this and then you try to space that out, you're going to get 5 or 6 of those in there. So it's basically staying in the Earth strike zone 5 to 6 times longer. So that just means that we're just connected to it that much longer. And so yeah. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are seeing this down here. There was a CME here right at the end of this run. I just seen it when I was setting up for this, right there. See that? So we'll dig into that here in just a second. But I haven't even looked at it yet. But any CME down here that's kind of that way, may be a glancing blow, but most likely it's going to miss just because of its location. Even prior to it, though, watch the atmosphere down through here just prior to this erupting. Right there. You see that? You're seeing some movement there. So there was something was being disrupted right there. Whatever became unstable and stuff started moving around. I mean, that's just what it was. So if we come over here to the magnetosphere, when the sun's like this, with a hole that big, it starts sending all these charged particles at Earth, right? So our magnetic field is out there to protect us, and when that magnetic field hits, or when the solar wind actually hits our magnetic field, it creates this magnetosphere. Okay? So what you're looking at that's the bow shock, that arc out in front. That would be the first point of contact. That is that wind coming from there, hitting our magnetic field, first point of contact. And if you kind of look here, you can kind of see that there's more than just, there's secondary bow shocks, and I'm not going to get into all that technical stuff right now. But there are, if you really dig into the science of this, you can, I mean, you really can get deep. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Hey, Planet Hermit, thank you again. Wow, already. Man, God bless you, man. I mean, for real. I mean, you just, wow. That's all I can say. I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, you guys are just so good for that, and just awesome. So thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, but as we get back to, that was velocity up here. Now we can look at the density also, and I'll take you over to the graph here in a minute, which is boring, right? I don't like showing graphs because it just really is boring. You know, when I look at them, it doesn't really necessarily bore me. It's just not the most entertaining or exciting thing to look at. But when you look at a graph, you have to know what you're looking at, right? You have to understand what data that you're looking at. So if you're just new at this, I highly encourage you to go do that. Even though it might seem boring, but you'll learn, I promise. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I always do. So, and by the way, guys, anybody that got a gifted membership there, please tell Planet Hermit thanks there. I mean, that's 10 of them, man. That's awesome. So, okay, but the density, you see how, you know, you can't really see a bow shock. If you were just to look at this, you would think our bow shock was way back here, right? But it's way up here. So what's going on? Well, if I go a little further, watch what happens. We get a wave of solar wind coming in, and look what shows up. Why is that happening? Well, because the density, this graph only goes up so far in color, okay? So if the density is at 4 or greater on both sides of the bow shock, it's going to look like it's not there, because it's all going to be the same color. And the only way we know is by looking at these other ones. This is velocity, okay? And down here is magnetic pressure. But right here, you can clearly see. So I always point this out because it is kind of confusing, okay? So then the next question you're going to ask, well, how can you say it's high dense particles hitting us, but yet this is a lighter color? Because the lighter color are white. Well, first off, all this stuff back here is inside Earth's protection. Okay, so you got your bow shock, and then it's deflecting a lot of this stuff off our limbs here. Okay, so anything in here is going to be less dense just for that reason. But out here in the front, right? So how can that be? Well, typically the faster the solar wind, or faster the CME, the less dense it is. For lots of reasons, but the main reason is the speed that it's moving, right? So it's not allowing those particles to build up. Consider it done. Armageddon donated on. Well, wow, you guys are awesome. Oh my gosh, I think that's the first time that's happened, Planet Hermit. Wow, thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Thank you a lot. I'm not kidding. I wish there were bigger ones. Hey, Jammer. Good to see you, bud. I ain't seen you in a couple days. I hadn't seen you. I knew you were having some back issues and stuff like that, so I was kind of trying to, give you a break and leave you alone. Hey, Daryl. Okay, but anyway, so that's why you see the less dense, even though I'm saying higher dense hit, right? But after initial hit here, look what happens. Right? Things just woof woof back and forth. And then it goes and it stays this color. So we've entered a part of this solar wind stream that is very highly dense. Okay? So, yeah. Now let me go down here and show you magnetic pressure, because this really does hammer the point home. Now before we got hit with that little bump there, you see how we were kind of stabled out? You see, the red is actually, this is very intense magnetic pressure, but it's not up against us. Okay, it's not like pressed into, you know, up inside the bow shock and all, you know, all that, or inside our protection, right? Our magnetic field. It hasn't like compressed all the way in, like we see it oftentimes just completely engulf us when we get hit with a massive CME or something. Not even really massive. With just a low-level CME can do it. Okay, but this is kind of like static conditions, right? Just kind of normal, kind of hanging out. Now watch what happens. You see just that one little click, boom. You see that? That is our magnetic field sensing that stuff coming, and it's starting to react already before it even gets here. Because when it gets here, you know, right before it gets here, you'll see our bow shock reach out to it. Why does it do that? Right? Well, it appears because the bow shock is actually just a point of reference. Okay? Like I said, it's the point where solar wind meets our magnetic field. So, but what that distance grows before it actually gets here. It senses it coming, and the reason it does, it's magnetics, guys. Okay? So, it's going to pull the bow shock out a little bit when on its way here. So, you can see it happen. Now, let me, I'll back it up there and see how it kind of went. You can really see it if you pay attention right here. Now, I know it might be hard for people looking on their phone, but that's the initial image. Now, I'll start running the model here, and I'll watch. See how we kind of reached out a little bit there? And we'll probably reach out even further, but there we go. Now, right there, that's called compression. See how we kind of, and also it flattened out, right? That's because you got a wide swath of plasma just smacking us right now. Okay? It's not just in one spot where we can deflect it. It is actually, it's hitting pretty even all the way across our magnetic field, so it has a tendency to almost make this bow shock almost flat. I've seen it flat before. Okay, then that's with a massive CME, but we've seen it like that. But as you can tell here, though, we get compressed, and then we get rapid expansion. See how we kind of expanded out? So you get compression right there, and then you get rapid expansion. That's just how it works. So I just wanted to point that out. But notice how this is static conditions. Now look what happened here. See? When we took that hit, what happened? A lot of the pressure went around to the back. Why? Well, I've explained this before, but I'll do it again here real quick. You got your magnetic field lines, right? And when you get hit, those magnetic field lines, some of those will disconnect and break a little bit, right? So you got these lines just kind of floating around out here, not connected to nothing. It's just, the CME or the solar wind stream has disrupted it enough that it actually has broken its connection to us. Okay? So what's happening here, they're just kind of floating around back here. Obviously, they're going to be pushed off towards our back because that is the direction that things move. From the sun to us and then out into space. Right? So with those lines, you know, it's kind of flipping around. It ain't like they're going to come around to the front of the Earth and reconnect, right? So when you get your reconnection of those broken magnetic field lines, it's in the back. So what is traveling on these magnetic field lines? Highly dense particles. The solar wind. Okay? The plasma. That's how it gets here. Magnetics. And other things. I'm just not going to go into everything else because we're just going to talk about that right now. But anyway, it's back here. It breaks like, again, our magnetic field is like a slinky, right? You stretch it out, kind of like this. Don't connect it in the back. Just kind of pull it around like this, and sit Earth right in the middle of it, like right out in the front, right? That's kind of what we're looking at here. Now, if you want to see what just the magnetic field itself looks like, take a slinky and wrap it around and make it connect in the back, and then drop a ball in the middle of it. That's almost exactly what our magnetic field looks like around our planet. Okay, it's looped out like that. So when those lines break, what happens? right? They're just out there to look around and do whatever until they reconnect. And they do. They reconnect, and they always reconnect in the back because that's where they're at. It's back here. Okay? So, that, you know, I always get that question. Why do we get pressure in the back? That's why. Okay? Now, I'm not saying we can't get space weather from behind us, because we can. And we do. Right? I mean, cosmic rays and things like that. So, you know, I'm not disputing any of that. All I'm saying is that is the majority of what you see when you see pressure back here is a reconnection event of a magnetic field line that has been disconnected by either a coronal hole stream or a CME. Something like that, okay? So, and also, before we move on from this, I do want to mention, you know, guys, listen. We really need to pay attention to earthquake activity, seismic activity right now. Okay? Because anytime we have coronal holes facing the Earth, we always get a seismic uptick. And I'm already seeing it in the data and a couple of the earthquakes that we've seen since this thing has been facing us. It's been facing us for days now. You can go back, clearly look in the data if you really wanted to go back and look, because I've done it. Just to kind of prove it to myself, to make sure that, you know, when I say things like what I'm getting ready to say, that when you have a coronal hole facing the Earth, we get a seismic uptick. Geysers, volcanoes, earthquakes, all the above. Okay? We see that. It's very clear in the data when you go look. That's just what I'll say on that. But just please keep that in mind if you live in an earthquake, you know, prone zone, okay? I really would hate for, you know, just kind of gloss over that and then something happen and be like, oh man, I probably should have said something there. Now, also, we had, again, you know, well, we just had a flare, by the way. You want to guess where that flare's from? Anybody want to take a guess? I guarantee you I know where that flare's from. Down here, I bet. I bet you, well, I guess it could be from here. But this is where that CME popped off at. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Watch this. Check this out. We're going to take this and we're going to change it to the 131. And we'll let this thing load. And we'll move on and we'll come back to that and I'll show it to you. Okay? And we'll take a look at that and see what we got. But anyway, you see how we got a 50% chance of M-class flares, R1 to R2, right here? That's pretty low for right now in solar maximum. And the reason being, we didn't have that many sunspots facing Earth. But that's changing. Okay? I want to stress that. That's changing. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute because it's changing in a significant way, in a way that I think you guys are going to, well, in a way I've talked about it before, but just not the southern hemisphere of the sun, but the northern. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But anyway, this is the Enlil spiral. This is a CME detector, right? Basically. This is what this model's for. So, when, this is NOAA, Space Weather Prediction Center, right? This is the official forecast. So what this model does is it takes the current time and gives you 2 days historic data. In other words, we already know what happened for those 2 days. So anything from here back is exactly what happened. Because we know that that's what happened because we got the data. But then it tries to forecast 5 days out in advance. Now, do you guys notice a big difference in color from up here and down here? Now, why is that? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but not a lot of reasons, but a few reasons. The biggest reason here is we're talking about density at the top, and we're only talking about speed at the bottom. Once again, same thing here. This is density, this is speed. They look different, right? Now, as I'm looking at this, what we're going to see, I'm going to pause it here. What you're seeing up here is the density doesn't really get all that high, at least for right now. But the speed is. This is a classic look for a coronal hole stream. Okay? You got density up here, and sometimes it's reverse. Sometimes you got a lot of density and a lower speed that can be from a coronal hole stream. But when you're so lopsided like what this looks like, it just looks like it shouldn't look like that, doesn't it? These things, in our brains, we think that these two should really kind of be closer than what we're seeing here. But when you see it like this, you have to understand that this coronal hole, well, I already passed by it, but that coronal hole has been connected to us already for like 3 days. So, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Now notice we got 650 kilometers per second for velocity. 800 would mean that would be moving at 2 million miles per hour. Now, so you're probably looking at 1,750,000 miles per hour. It's moving pretty quick. All right. The density, I do think it's a little higher than 3. Okay. I'm seeing readings higher than 3. So I don't really know what's up with that, but it is what it is. Hopefully somebody will fix that eventually, because they will. That's one good thing about what NOAA does over here, guys. They're not trying to say that they're 100% accurate 5 days out in advance. You know how I know that? Because they're not afraid to change what this is. When conditions change, or the model has gotten something wrong, or the conditions aren't exactly what they thought it was going to be, they will change it. That's what they should do. So I appreciate that. I really do. Some people get upset about that. Well, why can't they just get it right the first time? Well, when you're looking at something 93 million miles away, and it's coming at you, and it takes 3 to 5 days to get here, a whole lot of things can be happening. So I'm just going to say that. Now, I can take this, and again, this is top down, this is side view. So if I take it and I just move it, you're seeing something there. Now, they just updated this too. So what, right here on the end, this right here, this may be that CME. You guys see that? I'm not saying that it is. I don't know yet, but they did update it just now. So, yeah, I'm not sure. We're going to have to find out. We will dig into that. Okay? Now, check this out. Look. What I always say. If the Aurora is increasing, guess what's increasing? Space weather. So, yeah. I mean, that's just what we got to do. That's what it is. So when the Aurora starts to increase, and when you start seeing this yellow right here, typically you're really close to a geomagnetic storm. It'll show yellow and a little bit of orange here, not being a geomagnetic storm, but much more than what we're seeing right here. Almost every time we'd be at least a G1 level storm. So, Aurora is a really good indication of where you're at when we're talking about space weather hitting Earth. Here's the termination line, day side of the planet, night side. Obviously, the Aurora ovals push this direction because that's just the direction that things move. And guess what? Look, it's over top of the North Pole here, but it's not directly centered. Why is that? Because we're not talking about the Barber Pole here. We're not talking about geographic North Pole. That's a physical spot. We're talking about magnetics here. Our magnetic North Pole. So, roughly, and it's just a rough thing, if you went to the middle of this, you're probably going to be pretty close to where magnetic north is. Now, it's not going to be exact. Magnetic north is moving. We know this, right? It's speeding up too, actually. The magnetic north and magnetic south are actually speeding up, headed towards each other. And they will eventually meet, and we'll have that magnetic pole flip. But I don't know when that's going to be, and there's a lot of theories. A lot of people have different opinions. And that just is what it is. But if you really want to know have a good idea where magnetic north is, come look at the Aurora graph. Go right in the middle, right there. See? That's where, because again, this is the Barber Pole. This is where Santa Claus lives. So, anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. I just think it's, when we're looking at this, and I'll run this model too, because you'll probably see it like go real low, and then it'll just, it'll fluctuate. Now watch. See how it almost disappears? And then it kind of just like that. So you can see right now it's the most intense as it's been in a while. So if we were to look at some of these conditions right now, this is the boring graph. We look at -6 or bigger on the BZ, right? Or more negative. So when we're looking at that, that's right here. That's this line here. When -6 is there, it'll highlight it in purple or lavender, whatever your display's showing you. It highlights it right here. Okay? So, you know, we've been in and out of that off and on all day. But it does look like we're getting a little bit more of a significant hit right now than what we had been getting. So what that means is that we could be headed for a geomagnetic storm. You know, who knows? I'm not going to say we are, because first off, it's not in the forecast for that right at the moment. And, you know, at a G1 storm, it's not that big of a deal, okay? It's definitely, you know, space weather news, and we need to look at it and report on it, but it isn't something that's going to be like, you know, emergent, is what I'm trying to say. But you can look at the density here. Look where the density was earlier today. This is why I put a high dense hit right here. Look, this thing was like at 70. I mean, it really was. Look at that, 45, 60. Okay, that's a lot. That's a very dense coronal hole stream. Okay, now the speed, it actually got up to like 645 right there. Okay, but things are looking like popcorn. When this thing puts a data point on this graph, it's literally that. It's a point. It's a dot. So when you see things on here and you start see more of a solid line, that means the conditions on whatever data point you're looking at are staying fairly consistent. In other words, if it's sitting at 500 right here, or 400 or whatever that is, it's real close to that when you see a signature here on this graph that looks more like a more consistent line. This is what I call popcorn. That means conditions are fluctuating because the dots are all over the place. Okay? So that's what I mean when I say that. So I hope that helps people understand that. You know, understand that that's definitely a something we need to pay attention to, right? Now, it is a higher dense right now. I mean, we are above 10. We're like 12, and that's significant. 4 is what they consider normal, but I've seen us get hit with like 50 or 60 and not even get into a geomagnetic storm. So all these other conditions have to fall into place too. -6 on the BZ. You know, we could be at a 4 or close to it on the density, and a little bit faster speed. There you are. You're in a geomagnetic storm. It really is like that. So, but anyway, so by the way, all my Aussies out there right now, we just had that flare just now happen as I was, you know, talking about it. If you guys see it here on the D region absorption model, it'll show up like a dartboard, and it's always on the day side, right? I mean, that's just where a flare is going to be. So right there, okay, that's an R1 flare. It's a radio blackout condition 1. You know, you've probably seen some radio disruptions here. If you live in Australia, I would think that you had a very short, limited time where your communications were probably disrupted a little bit if you're using ham radio operation stuff. Okay? Hey, Aaliyah, good to see you, sister. Good to see you. Hey, John boy, what's happening, brother? Man, I ain't seen you in probably a year. Man, you just crawled right out the woodwork there, brother. How you doing, man? Wow. I ain't seen you in a minute. Good to see you, man. Wow. Hey, Daryl, by the way. Hey, Wise Jen. Hey, guys, give me a roll call in there if you would, please. Just regional, okay? Okay, now, guys, I took you back to here, and I wanted to show you this because if you look at the geomagnetic activity, we're hanging right around 3 on the KP. A KP of 5 means a G1 storm. So if we're at a 3, we want some of that. We want to be between 2 and 3, right? We need geomagnetism to help us deflect cosmic rays. Cosmic rays can make us sick pretty quick if we get a lot of them, okay? So we do want some geomagnetism hanging around. when we get days upon days during solar minimum, where we're sitting at 1 or below on the KP, it gets pretty dangerous for people that are flying, especially high altitude and high latitude towards the poles. That's just the way it is. As a matter of fact, they limit people from doing that, the pilots and things. Southeast Tennessee, Washington. It's good to see you, brother. It really is, John Boy. For real. See, I love that right there. I got to find that comment. I'm going to highlight that sucker. I like that a lot, brother. Right here. Read that one, guys. I love that. That's so positive. I love it. Eastern Washington, that's right. That's right. Trinity, my sister. Miss Dragon's in the house. Anna, what's up? Ohio, baby. El Rio, Ohio? Huh. Let's see here. Hey, Alyssa, good to see you. Good to see you. That's okay, girl. You know, you got it. You got it, Trinity. You got it. Guys, you guys got to get over to Trinity's channel, too. You really should. I mean, she's doing some really good stuff over there. Hey, Daniel, good to see you, bud. You the man, brother. You the man. All right. So, now, I just want to make sure I stopped in there and said hi to you guys for a minute. Hey, Leah. Hope you're doing okay. Lisa Carden, what's up? Oregon, baby. Love it. You never get notifications? Surprise, surprise. Man, I wish I had a membership for every time somebody said that, because I never need to buy another one. Telling you. Oh, goodness, I love it. Hey, Renee, good to see you. Good to see you. Why, Shin's in the hizzy? All right, now, let's, I do want to show you guys, before I move forward, I do want to touch on this one more time here. It does look like our geomagnetism is going up right now. Okay, so we could be headed for a geomagnetic storm here in the next few hours, but it's not going to be anything extremely significant, so I'm not too concerned about being here when it all happens and all that. It ain't going to be no G5s, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So I'll just leave it at that. Remember, these are 30-minute data points, okay? Over here, right here, these are 3-hour averages. So there's a difference there. It's basically the same indice, except for the KP is a 3-hour average, and the HP over here at the German website is a 30-minute average. So you get more real time over here, but you probably get a better overall condition, if it makes any sense, looking at this one, KP. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. The windy one, hey, what's up? Hoo, California, that's right. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Oh, that sucks, Daniel. Hey, prayers for you. Hey, everybody needs to put some ones in the chat for that man right there. Anybody having to go through any kind of anything in court, I don't care what it is. That's stressful. There you go. you probably get some jerk. You probably get some people in there throwing some gavels in there. Anyway, all right. Hey, what's happening, Jacqueline? Good to see you. Hey, man, I'm telling you, that's stressful stuff. I don't care what you're going to court for. Anytime you go to court, guys, I'm telling you, even if you're the one serving in jury duty or something, you're not the one that's in trouble. It's still stressful. You know, here in Indiana, they made us get those, well, they wanted us to get the, I guess, I don't know what they're calling them. Basically, it's a license that's been validated at a higher level, right? Basically, it's the same stuff you need for a passport, but it's your regular license. You got to have it to fly. And but what they don't tell you is you got to have it to get in certain federal buildings too. So our courthouse, I think you have to have it to get in that courthouse. So if somebody's got jury duty. Are they going to let them in if they don't have that? Because it's not a requirement to have it. It's not like it's a law that you have to get that. You just can't fly or go into certain buildings. So I don't know what they would do in that situation. I was just curious, but you know. All right, so let's go over here and check this out, guys. Hey, Comet Atlas put on a show. Check this out. Look at this, man. I don't care who you are. That's just cool. I mean, if your kids hadn't seen that, I think you can still go out like tomorrow night and look low on the horizon at sunset, just after sunset, where you still got some twilight there. You should be able to see it. You know, even with your naked eye, this thing got that bright. Now it might be tailing off now because as it gets further and further away from the sun, it's not going to be reacting with the sun, which is what's been causing it to be bright. But this thing put on a show. And let me tell you something. There was an article over on BBC, and it's the first time, and they said it was 1,600 years, that we've been able to see this one. It's crazy. Now, I didn't vet that, but that was BBC. I mean, it wasn't like it was some chump, whatever out here just doing whatever. No. This was a legitimate source. And I read the article, and it seemed, I researched a little bit of it, and it seemed to be legit. But I guess the last time, it doesn't mean it hadn't been here in 1,600 years. It just means we couldn't see it the last time it was here, or the last couple times it was here. This time it got bright enough that we could. But yeah. So, and also, guys, this is LASCO C3. It's the same as LASCO C2. Oops. Which is right here. Okay? This is the one I show you all the time, right? And there was a CME right there on the end. Check that out. I told you. Watch. I knew it. I knew that was a CME. Look at that. Check it out right here. We'll back it up here. Right there. But I'm showing this to you because that occulter disc, right? This is the zoomed in version of this. This is a wider angle. It's on the same satellite. See this occulter disc? Look. It's connected with an arm. That thing is physically on the imager. It's just like when you go to the eye doctor and they take those, well, it looks just like that. Those little black paddles and back and forth on your eyes. Same thing. It's blocking out a lot of the light so we can get an image at all. But yeah, so I just thought I wanted to point that out because it is, check that out. That is so cool. I mean, I was hoping that it would come in close enough that we would have seen it over here on Seeds right here, but we didn't. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. We started this one up, didn't we? Let's look down here. See if we can find this flare. I'm not so sure that was the flare. I think the flare was up here. This little sunspot right here. Watch. I bet you that's the flare. That might have been a filament blowing off there, guys. Because we did have quite a few filaments. But I wanted to point this out because notice where the sunspots are now. What was I talking about 3 or 4 months ago? I'm not sure if you guys remember or not. I was showing you guys this, not that. Down here at the sun cycle, right? The amount of sunspots. Remember I took this and I grabbed it, went back to the last couple sun cycles, and I pointed out the double peak. And if you guys remember, what's the reason for that? Hey Joy, good to see you. Hey, sure, good to see you. Omageddon, baby. Lower class citizen, what's up? The flare was top left. Okay, thank you. I'll take a look at that here in just a second. Thank you for that. I knew it wasn't down there from the bottom right because there wasn't nothing there flaring at all. So yeah. Hey J-Poss, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Anyway, you got a double peak. Now, why did we get a double peak? Anybody? Seriously, does anybody remember? It's because the sunspots where the sun is able to go into solar maximum in one hemisphere. The northern part of the sun could be in solar max as the southern part isn't, and vice versa. So when we see a double peak, that means that what's happening is typically is you're getting more sunspots. Basically, the northern part of the sun's in solar maximum, and then it switches to the southern part, or starts in the southern or goes in the north. In our case, this sun cycle, it started in the south. All right, so let me show you this. Okay, this is the sun, obviously. Well, I wouldn't say obviously. It's not like it's a big yellow ball in this image right here. But notice where most of the sunspots are now. You know, like I said, 3 months ago, they were all down here. Now they're all coming up here. So, and they're significantly sized too. Now, this one was, that, you see that little gap right there? You wouldn't think that would be a very big deal, but it is. This thing was solid earlier today. At least I believe it was. I thought I seen it that way. Well, no, I guess I was wrong there. I thought it was solid at one point because it was just one core there. Let's run it back this way. Yeah, about the time it came across, it must have been. Yeah, because when it was right here, I remember now. When it was right here, it was just one little hole. But as it started to split right there, what that means is it's becoming more and more unstable in the fact that when you get reconnection events is when you get the flares. So when you've got, and what we'll do is I'm going to take this back to that, and then I'm going to change this to the colorized so you guys can get a look at this. Okay, now I'm going to pause it right there. And so what I'll do is I'll run this to the front here. Well, now you're seeing this core kind of get split right there, right? But the polarity is the same on both sides. So it's really just kind of a core getting kind of this, you know, split in half. If that was red right there, we would be having flares. So when the reds and blues start mixing together on this particular model, you're talking about positive and negative, right? So when we're talking about that and they start, you know, mixing in with one another, there will be multiple reconnections. And when those reconnections happen, that's when you get the flares. And a bigger flare does what? Typically it will fire off a CME too, because things just get so disrupted. But what I'm looking at right here, this one here, maybe. Well, look at that. Okay, I know this is hard for you guys to see. There's a blue one. There's blue here, this core here, and then right next to it's red. They're almost touching. But there's a little bit of the parallax effect going on there too. When you look at something that's a sphere in a distance, things on the side of the sphere, they actually look smaller than what they are. So as they start to turn in, they start showing their real size. But this thing is actually bigger than what it looks. So with that being said, yeah, lower class citizen just said that flare came from up, at least from one of these up here. So yeah, that would make sense. Plus you got this blue here, that red's right next to it. Now this down here, this is pretty stable. Look at this. Pretty well split, and this one too. Now you do have a red right there, so this one is becoming very active. So we'll just have to keep an eye on them, guys. Now if we start seeing some stuff swirling around with this one, we're gonna have to really pay attention, because this thing is a big dog here. That's a big sunspot, and it is right in front of us right now. So yeah. All right. So there's that seeing me. I don't, you know what? I guess I could have went down here. Maybe it, yeah, see, it hasn't even shown it here yet. It hasn't updated yet, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? But, again, this is just so cool to me. Please don't, like, waste the time. If you guys can get outside with your kids, or just with your wife, your husband, whoever, take 15 minutes and look off to the west at sunset. That's all I'm asking. And check this thing out. Look at that. Okay, the tail was huge this time. It really interacted with our sun big time. Now, any less of the comet here probably would have been destroyed. This thing made it. So what that means is, unless it interacts with something else as it goes back out, when it comes back through again, it'll be closer in orbit, because they always are. As they orbit the sun, just like we do, they're falling into the sun. They don't have the same orbital mechanics that we do. So they're just naturally drawn into the sun. Eventually, if it's a sun grazer, becomes a sun diver. And most of them never ever make it to the surface. Okay? The sun just eats them up with solar wind. Okay? But there have been comets and rocks that have hit the sun. So we'll just leave that at that. Okay? But yeah, so please, check this out if you can. Just take that time. You won't regret it. I promise. I mean, yeah. So also check this out right here. By the way, this is Dr. Tony Phillips' website, spaceweather.com. Please come over here and check this out. Give him some love. Give him some traffic over here. He does really good work. Honestly. Everybody in this community looks at this webpage every day. Okay? I'm not the only one that does it. I see big names use this man's stuff. Okay? And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And sometimes it makes me sick because they don't even mention that that's where they got it from. It's upsetting, man. I've always told people, use whatever you want from mine. You ain't even got to ask. So if somebody's saying that, then no harm, no foul, right? But I guarantee you Dr. Tony Phillips hasn't said that. So, he's doing the work over here. Those of us that are, using this in the fair use style need to recognize that he did the work and at least tell people, hey, come check out spaceweather.com. And usually one of my mods will put the website link there in the chat. But it's just the responsible, and it's just the right thing to do. You don't have to do that, right? You don't have to. It's one of the things you don't have to do. It's just a common courtesy that we should share among people in the community that are looking at other stuff, right? And like I said 1,000 times, they're doing the work. Give them some traffic. I mean, it ain't like you got to come over here and buy anything. Just come over here and just read the article. That's it. And when I say article, that's the article. That's it. It's not like you're over here reading for an hour. So I just want to point that out. Now, also here, check it out. This is hammering my point home here too. Look, everything's in the north now. Everything's kind of flipped over to the north. So I do think that is probably what's... There you go, miss. I knew you'd hit that when I said that. You guys are awesome. But anyway. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clear that off there. Hey, Shell Spells, good to see ya. Hey, VB. Yeah, that's getting to be a thing, isn't it? I'm even hesitant to even talk about it because, yeah. You guys know why. I just don't even want to go there. So I'll just leave it at that. Now, guys, I can tell you right now we're getting hit again. This thing updates even when I don't like hit reset, and you can tell that stuff is happening here. Yeah, so we're gonna keep an eye on that stuff, guys. Okay. Let's check out this flare though. Let's see. It said it was lower class citizen said it was up here. If I understood right here. Okay, what you're seeing there, guys, that is actually the satellite getting eclipsed. Okay, so I'll just leave that at that. But yeah, I think I agree with you there, lower class, 100%. Yeah, you hit it right on. You see that, guys? Watch, look. There's the flare right there. And where did it come from? It came from that sunspot I was pointing out, where the reds and blues were right next to each other. So yeah. There you go. There you have it. See how that works right there? Right there's your flare. Okay. Now remember, it was an R1, so I mean it really was a very low flare, but it was a flare. So okay. So anyway, guys, I'm so glad I got SDO back too. But yeah. Alright, guys, now let me go over this with you one more time here. I'm gonna play this a few times here to let you guys see it, because we're not gonna see a comet like this again for a good who knows when. This is one of the most photogenic comets that SOHO, this satellite's been up here for, oh my gosh, like almost 20 years, I think. This is one of the most photogenic comets it's ever caught. Okay? So that should tell you how significant this is. It really truly is. So, and by the way, yesterday and the day before, I did not post. Guys, I'm still fighting pneumonia. I didn't want to start talking about that, but I want you guys to understand why I wasn't here. Okay? I thought I was done with it, and then I started coughing again, and I had to get back on another round of antibiotics. So I had a temperature of 102, and I just couldn't do it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm feeling better now. I really am. So I'm hoping I'm on the mend here, and my plan is to be here every day, like I've always said. And I am, guys. I had made a uploaded video for yesterday, and I thought I posted it, and I didn't hit post. So by the time I realized I hadn't hit post, it was like 18 hours later. So it was like useless at that point, because things had moved on. If you know what I mean. So yeah. But thank you guys for having the patience with me there. We will be doing a members only stream, most likely tomorrow. Not quite sure yet if it's going to be tomorrow or Saturday, but we're going to do it. And I'm going to try to do two, because there's some guys here that I want in the members only stream, but I know sometimes I do it too late for them, and I hate doing that. So I want to get on a little earlier, and we have a good time. We watch some Zoom court stuff. Yeah, and I'll give you guys a little spoiler of what I'm going to show you. There was a judge that actually sent a woman to jail, and she was terminally ill. So she was most likely not going to make it out of the jail. And the judge sentenced her to like 4 years. But there's a whole lot of other stuff around it. So I want to show that to you so you guys can get a glimpse of what's going on. But then we're going to look at some funny stuff too. Okay? We're going to go look over at Judge Fleischer. He's the one that says, "You can come stay with me. You're stuck like Chuck." That's what he says. Cracks me up. He's the guy with the bow tie. So if you're not a member, please consider becoming one. It really is one of the best ways you can help support my channel. And we have a good time. And I have been getting more consistent about at least about once every week, at least. You'll find that a lot of channels, they'll do their members only streams like once a month. I just, I don't know if that's enough. You know what I mean? If somebody's going to support me like that, I think I need to be here once a week at least. At least I should have a goal, at least twice a month or something. I don't know. Maybe 3 times a month. Who knows? But also, guys, you guys get really cool emojis you can use. We can make some more. We get to design them ourselves. And I've done that. You know, if anybody has seen Genius by Birth, let me know. I haven't seen her in about a week, almost 2 weeks now, on anybody's channel. I get a little concerned when it's not so much being here, but when we don't see each other on other channels, that tells me that something's going on inside your real life there. And so yeah. And hey, we need ones in the chat for Daniel. Okay, I don't know what you're going to court for, brother. You ain't got to tell me nothing. All I can say is, yeah. You're in a t-shirt working at 28 degrees Fahrenheit? Yeah. You know what, guys? I went golfing one year on Christmas Eve. And I was wearing shorts. And it started snowing. I mean, yeah. So, yeah. And, guys, we have a lot of... also, if anybody's seen AA Run, I ain't seen AA Run in a minute either. I seen Deep Quake the other day, so I'm not too worried about him. But I like to know people are okay, you know. And if I can help in any way, I would try, you know. Obviously, Miss Dragon, she's got some stuff coming up. If she wants to share that, she can. She already has. But and again, guys, Planet Hermit, what is the best time for you? Just tell me. What's the best time for you for a members only stream? If you give me a time, I can try my best to hit that. Okay? I'm not going to say I can get it exactly. I'm not going to promise that. But, yeah, J. Post, you out there cutting glass with your nips, man? What's up? Cold out there, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I get words for people. I really truly do. Hey J Pops, I was working on my car once. My car quit running, and I was in a McDonald's parking lot across the street from Cool VidB. That's awesome. But anyway, my car broke down in a McDonald's parking lot, right? It was 5 below. I know you will, Planet Hermit, but man, come on. Let me try to at least give back to you a little bit, man. I mean, come on. Just throw me a time. You know what? Seriously, just tell me your best time. I'm not telling you I'm gonna be able to get there right, you know, the exact time. I'm just saying that I'll do my best. But anyway, J Pops, I was doing that, and my car broke down. I couldn't figure out what it was, and my distributor had went out. So anybody who works on cars knows that that's typically not the easiest thing to get to and fix, especially when you don't have timing lights or anything. All you can do is mark where the gears line up. So I walked across the street, and I went to AutoZone, and that is just one store. Anything electrical, I will not. Yeah, everybody has their opinion on that, but anyway, they were the only one in town that had that, by the way, and it was across the street. I said walk across the street and get it. So I walked across the street, got the distributor, and again, me and my dad is an awesome dude. He stood out there in that cold with me, and we literally took turns inside the car and out like every 3 minutes because it was that cold. And we couldn't feel our hands. So, when we couldn't feel our hand, you can't really turn a wrench. So anyway, you're not going to believe this, man. But I dropped that distributor, me and my dad dropped that distributor in there, and that thing lined exactly up and just took right off. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. I mean, anybody that's never worked on a car before, You probably don't understand how odd that is. That you never get that lucky. Never. Especially when you're in those kinds of conditions. But yeah, for sure. You know, that's funny you say that too. My best friend when I was growing up, I was dating some girl, and I was about, I don't know, how was I? 13. Yeah, I was young, and he put, and he used to date the same girl, but they had broke up like a long time before that, and there wasn't nothing weird or anything between me and him or anything like that. We weren't mad at each other or nothing, but she had done something, I can't remember, but her dad, for whatever reason, my friend didn't like him, and he stuck a potato in his tailpipe, and he went to go to work, and oh my gosh, it was an IROC, okay, back in the 90s. So if you had an IROC, there you go, right? It was a beast of a car. I'll just leave it at that. But he fired it up, and it died on him, obviously, because it was getting deadheaded because the exhaust was blocked. And he got mad. He got out, slammed the car door, got back in, pumped it like 4 times, and then hit the key, and that potato shot. I mean, it was like a bazooka, and it hit a house, a screen door of a house that was, gosh, it had to be 80 feet away, because it was like 4 houses and then across the street, and then because the street teed, right, and it was a house right there on the tee across the street, and it smacked that thing and it busted the window and everything. I mean, it was a mess. Hey Kristen, good to see you. Hey Kathy, good to see you. But yeah, alrighty guys, I am gonna go ahead and cut her off here, guys. We will hey, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow, guys. Okay, I'm gonna try to get here, and so baby girl, thank you, love you too, babe. And so yeah, and I'm going to try to get a morning video in with just space weather data, and it not data, just the conditions and everything. It'll be a 10-minute or less. It's kind of like what I used to do. That's how I built my channel, on, you know, doing those kinds of videos. But thank you guys. I love my moderators. You guys are awesome. Anybody, thank you for gifting the memberships, Planet Hermit. Appreciate you, bud. In the super chat, that was awesome. If I missed anybody, matter of fact, I need to look, make sure I didn't miss somebody. I figured out how to look at that, so let me see if I can't do it here. There it is. Okay, yeah, so Planet Hermit did 10 gifted memberships and then a $10 super chat on the behalf of Omageddon. So awesome. So thank you, Planet Hermit. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support. And guys, please share this out. You know, hit that like button. Do all the YouTube stuff. I don't always say all that, but you know, to be honest with you, I probably should. Just to remind people. You know, I'm not out here just to talk to the wall. You know what I mean? And so yeah, yeah. I want everybody to hear what we're doing over here. Because I think we do a good job over here, guys. I'm not talking about just myself. I'm talking about all of you guys. Hey, RJ. I really, truly do. I think that we all do a great job over here of giving a really, just like, cultivating an environment to where people feel safe enough to ask questions on a subject that isn't all that approachable for a lot of people. Hey, Jeremy, thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. $2 super chat. Awesome. There you go, man. Thank you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But, yeah, I mean, and that's you guys. That ain't me. Yeah, I'm out here starting it and all that, but you guys are the ones that cultivate that kind of community there in the chat. And I, you know, obviously, you know, it's within the structure of the rules that we have here. But what I'm saying is, you guys are awesome. Serious. This channel would be nothing without what you guys do. It's amazing. I wish I could show you certain data points and analytics, and I might at one time on one of the members only streams show you guys some analytics of what we actually get to see. You know, it's funny because somebody will say, yeah, I shared your stuff out, and all you gotta do is click on their icon when you own the channel. It'll tell you if they shared your stuff out. Cracks me up sometimes. But yeah, anyway. So just know that if you tell somebody that you shared their stuff out, share it out, because they're gonna know if you did or not. But anyway, all right, guys. I promise you I'll be back here tomorrow, and if you guys have anything that you guys want me to talk about, let me know. Well, thank you, lower class. Appreciate you, Kristen. You're awesome. All right, guys. Daniel. Hey, we'll be throwing some prayers your way for real. I don't even know what it's for. Don't need to. Just know that you got some people in your corner, brother. Alright? Alright, guys. God bless. Yahoo! Hey, John boy. Good to see you. Glad you came through, man. For real. It's good to see you. Don't be a stranger, man. Come on through, man. For real. Anyway, God bless. Yahusha saves. And as always, you can drink. Oh, by the way, get over and check out Marfugal. Please. He'll be going live here in probably, I don't know, less than an hour, I would think. Anyway, God bless. Yahusha saves. And yeah, you can drink.